What up? Yep. So you see it. I'm gonna say it real quick. Be around for however long it takes to get this little point across. Not really a little point. It's actually an important one, but it's me covering multiple things that I've already said before, and then just reiterating the most important of all the things that people should know. So the consequence of no consequence, and there's two different definitions. You can use either one of the definitions however you want to. You can put the words wherever you want to put them. So you can say a result, right? Or effect of an action or a condition. You can say, well, the result of no result, or the effect of no effect, or you can say the result of no importance, or the result. You can put it all together. But the way I look at it is the importance of no effect or no condition. Meaning that when you do something, it's important that you understand what's going to happen next. So, hypothetically, if a person wants to plant a flower, they have to have seeds to do that. So, when they get the seeds and they unearth or dig up a certain amount of soil to plant the seed, they have to cover the seed, then they have to wait for the appropriate amount of time, then they have to water the seed. Okay, they understand that these actions yield a what is believed a desired result. So when you grow up believing that my actions don't have any desired result or effect, right on, the consequence or the importance of no effect or no action is going to be grave. Because if I'm not taught that a flower is grown with the seed and it has to grow up out of the ground, if I don't know that that's a flower, if I don't know that this flower can turn into a tree, this shoot can turn into a tree and eventually produce fruit that I can eat off of it, I may destroy it before it has a chance to become something. So the consequence of no consequence is that if you don't know better, you cannot do better. But that's not the biggest problem. Is that you create individuals who will go and do things that they would not otherwise do if the consequence was true. Who's on that? Well, appreciate you. Thank you. Appreciate you. May he bless us both, brother. But what I'm saying is this: they've breeded an understanding with individuals who will go out and commit terroristic acts that there is no consequence if you don't engage with the police. Follow what I'm saying. If everybody who did this sort of thing got shot dead all the time and there was no sort of discrimination and people could be like, well, they disproportionately shoot this group of people still, but when these sort of things happen across the board, we treat it all the same. So, for example, old boy getting killed in Uvalde. You want to know why he got killed in Uvalde? Whatever his name is, Ramos or whatever. You know why he got laid out? Because he engaged with the police. Had he surrendered, this is the craziest part that people don't understand. Had he surrendered, he'd still be alive. And then people will be calling the law enforcement cowards for real. It's popping with you, brother Leonard Uda. And this is for real, though. We all know it to be the truth. Had little Ramos not engaged, he would still be on the earth breathing God's good air. But because he engaged, and so vehemently he engaged, the officers, the SWAT officers, or whoever entered the building, were given no choice but to take action. Now, let me go ahead and say this right here. For any number of reasons, a person can reach down to their waistband when they're being in the middle of pursuit. The first reason I can think of is that they're trying to pull up their pants so they can run off again because their pants are coming down. Of course, even if you're wearing a belt, your belt can loosen, your pants can loosen because of the rapid movement of friction. So when you shoot a brother over 60, at least 60 times, right? The idea of consequence is that his actions, whatever he done before this, vindicated shooting him that many times. It must have, right? Surely it must have. Because they're saying that he engaged with them. I need y'all to understand. I need y'all to get this. They're saying that he engaged with a firearm with the police. So how could that be the case? And they unloaded on him. 8 police officers. They say he was shot at least 60 times. Let's say he was shot 100 times, right? Closer to 100, maybe even 100. Let's say he was shot double that. These officers are rolling around with magazines that have at least 15 shots in them, y'all. At least 15 shots per mag. So if 8 police officers unload 15 shots each, that's 120 rounds. So let's say they all missed half their bullets. Fuck it, they still got you with 60. So I believe that he was shot at least 60 times. I believe that. That's not an exaggeration. Having said that, though, the consequence of no consequence has led the most evil, heinous. You can't call them cowards because their actions are brazen. How are you a coward, but what you just did was brazen? Thank you. You can't have both the same things. A coward brazenly act. It doesn't actually exist. Right on? It's wickedly evil. It's beneath anybody who operates within honor. But to call them a coward when they just took action is totally asinine. And then to call what they're doing senseless. A point that I need to make that Brother Wickham always makes, because they obviously have the sense to carry out these acts. It's not senseless. It's maybe we can't understand. I'll say it like that. Unless you're wickedly evil and that's how you operate, you can't understand that. You can't understand why would you go somewhere and ruin everything for everybody and then possibly ruin it for yourself. And everything was going up until that point, it seemed like everything was okay. Right. Everybody struggles, everybody goes through something. But the consequence of no consequence has led in droves, they are going to become a problem. In droves. They're seeing that as long as I don't engage with the police and I engage all soft targets, I'm not going to jail. I mean, I'm only going to go to jail. I'm not going to get killed. Now, did y'all see how they beat that dude down there over there in freaking Connecticut? He killed like 2 or 3 officers, injured like 5 or 6 more. Dude looked like a raspberry. Right. He won't be back in court till the 11th. That's how bad they beat him down because they didn't want the people to see that and then be outraged. Right. Rightfully so. If you're going to do all that, why not just kill him? See what I'm saying? See, the consequence of no consequence, the fact that there is no equal measure of justice. What is justice? Doing that which is right, even when it makes you uncomfortable. There is no equal measure of this, balanced or played out anywhere. So, what happens and what did happen was that the police officers, even if they claim that they shot this individual, they didn't kill him. They should have neutralized this individual. Based upon their previous actions, the officers felt the need to to defend themselves with lethality. They couldn't take any chances. Somebody thought he reached. Right. But instead, he'll get his so-called day in court. Get to say that he's not guilty. If this dude pleads guilty, it'd be crazy. Gonna plead not guilty and drag all this shit out. Right. The consequence of no consequences. I don't blame Kyle Rittenhouse. You know who I blame? The Vegas shooter. but the Vegas shooter was killed. This is the difference. When they came to the room or whatever, because they found him, with all the weapons or whatever, with most of the weapons, he was engaged. He was killed on the spot. It's totally different. They're allowing these individuals to walk away. Remember the dude who went down there to so-called Pulse nightclub? People forget that dude. He engaged with SWAT, and then they killed him. How does SWAT normally engage with individuals like that? SWAT is going to let you expend most of your roundage, and then they're going to come in there and suppress you, and then just overwhelm you with firepower. That's it. That's it. They're not going to try to come up in there and get killed. Trust me. Point being this: you have what is a subculture now, because gun culture has been the culture since before America was even called America. Right on? This is how they got the land. So they can't be angry that somebody enacted the same sort of actions that they enacted against those that were native, aboriginal, and indigenous to the land. Right. That you can't have it both ways. In the middle of a celebration, that's celebrating that same very exact action. So now you have people who were not understanding, well, why is all of this happening? Well, you're in a nation where in which it was taken by violence. Violence is a natural way of life in this country. Right. People jokingly talk about how America will nuke another country. Do you know what kind of violent and catastrophic and cataclysmic event that will be on another nation and peoples, sub peoples, if that's how you feel? Follow me. You don't get to determine and dictate what somebody else is going through. These officers who are not making it a point and a point of emphasis of saying they resisted or I thought they reached for a weapon. The same thing they would say in any other instance. I felt threatened for my life and for my well-being and for the safety of my colleagues and my fellow officers. Not one of those things have been spewed out of the mouths of these individuals who have allowed people to commit atrocities, so-called people to commit atrocities. Doesn't even make sense. And even though my heart doesn't, it's like this. I feel for the families. I feel for the people to a degree, but I feel for my people more. You see what I'm saying? I care about us more. My love hasn't waxed so cold that I can't understand the suffering and the grief and the anger and the hatred and the rage that might be pulsating through the people's bodies right now. But that's not my focus. My focus is speaking on the fact that they have a tradition of the consequence of no consequence, and now it's actually becoming its its worst version. You know, it is now its worst self. The consequence of no consequence has become like a game of who gets the luckiest. See what I'm saying? Because you have people who believe that it's it's just a chance or it's just all by chance, but it's not. If the police officers who go and arrest young brothers every day in the hood can choose and say, okay, even though this guy resisted, even though this guy tried to fight back, they don't shoot and kill these dudes. They might rough them up a little bit. Sometimes they just get the best of them and they're in cuffs before they know it. Right. But you have a situation where, just like where the brother who was arrested in Connecticut not too long ago, I want to say it was Connecticut, somewhere on the Eastern Seaboard, and they had him back there in a dang on police van, right? Handcuffed, but with no seatbelt because the vans had no seatbelts. And the brother is pretty much going to be paralyzed from his chest down now. So why not do something like this to this kind of guy? You follow what I'm saying? Like, I don't get it. Like, they're actually allowing people, once again, so-called people, but they're allowing individuals to go out and commit acts that they would not otherwise commit if they felt that the consequences were not worth that. Right. If you can get arrested after killing 10 or 20 people, arrested, listen to what I'm saying. You killed 10 or 20 people and they're going to take you in alive. I- Wow. Every single shooter has ever done this stuff in like recent times, if they had surrendered, they're all going to prison and getting their day in court. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Right. It's a system. That's not systemic racism. That's just a system. And their system is trash because it's teaching individuals that as long as I don't engage with the warrior class of society, then I have nothing to worry about. Wow. I mean, that is a travesty in itself. And yet here we are because people don't want to respect or honor anything. They have no understanding, they have no wisdom or knowledge. Their ability to learn, which is learning is beyond memory and it's more application and experience through application and acknowledgement than it is more so memory, right? And a robust memory at that. They can see that there is nothing that's going to happen to them. Nothing. Now, the ones who want to die are going to engage the police, right? Normally, when they engage the police, they get killed. Normally, right? Well, no doubt it's spiritual, fam. No doubt it's spiritual, but I mean, that's just, that goes without saying, you know, that goes without saying. That's a fact. But we're in a situation where we have to at least pay attention and honor what is being put forth and say, okay, this guy and this guy and this guy. Like use the brother Frank James, right? Who shot up that subway out there in New York. People try to say he didn't. I was just like, it's easier to say he did. It's easier to say that he wasn't shooting to kill. Right. That's why there was no actual deaths. I get it. But even he is being charged as a terrorist. This guy gonna get charged as a terrorist too? That's my thing. Is that their plan? To make it to where, once again, certain activities are seen as terroristic from the offset. So the way that they treat it can be totally different. I mean, does a terrorist really truly have any rights? Any at all? See what I'm saying? Tossing out Roe v. Wade. If they're saying that this female uh doesn't have rights over her body to whatever degree, and I don't really care one way or the other. I know that if I copulate with a woman, that I'm not going to ever co-sign an abortion. But I know that people have been doing abortions since the fall of the angels. So I'm not going to act as if abortions are brand new, but it's actually really archaic. And they're the ones who are stuck in the past. But that's neither here nor there. Um, I can see that if they're ready to take those sort of liberties, then other liberties will be not infringed upon, but just merely taken away. Right. Because they have to, or it'll seem like they have to. See what I'm saying? And this is where we're at. We're at a very dangerous junction. Everything, everything that any one of us does could be seen or misconstrued as an action that it is not intended to be. So now we have to be extra careful. We have to be like what we bring with this, how we carry ourselves. Because, like you said, it's a spiritual thing as well, meaning that it's a frequency, it's a spectra thing. It's something that you can't see, but you can feel it and it's real. So, because it's actually a true, real thing, tangible in its own way, we have to honor it and we can't allow it to get the best of us. One second. Because the consequence of no consequence is the most dangerous thing that they've ever done. See, there was a time where just stealing a horse meant that you got hanged. I need you to think about that. White folks did not hesitate to hang other white folks for stealing a horse. That's how serious life was. That if you took a man's horse, you could end his entire livelihood. You could ruin everything for him. You could ruin him. Right. They would kill you for that. Nowadays, you can go somewhere and murder an unknowable number of people. And as long as you surrender or don't engage, you're good to go. Think about that. That's crazy. That's wickedness. But they created that by not blasting these dudes in the face, by not shooting these dudes all up. I mean, giving it to them every single time. But because, oh man, that could be my nephew. Oh man, that could be my son. Oh man, that could have been me. Right. Because that's why they never try to kill the old white dudes. Because that's their father. That's their grandfather. That's their uncle. Right? So, yeah, that's them. So we have to tell the truth and do our best to shame the devil. If he can be shamed, as I like to say. Because I don't think he can. Not traditional ways, at least. As I go on and I speak my piece, I just need you to understand this, brother. Everything that you're seeing is a part of a larger effort to be able to take and criminalize entire groups of people, families, to say the least, but entire communities. Right. Because they're going to do a complete matrix, from what I understand. And they're going to get down to the bottom of all of his relationships and anyone that may seem as if they withheld information from law enforcement about anything pertaining to this kind of act of violence. They're probably going to be charged with some sort of crime. That's more than likely. And if they set that kind of precedent, then that means that every single time that they deem a shootout in an urbanite setting to be an act of terrorism or a terroristic activity, they'll then have the go-ahead to matrix the so-called suspected individual or individuals' families, well-known affiliates and associates. Right. And if any of them have seemed to have done anything that was in support of them, they may be charged. This is where this shit's about to get real dangerous. The consequence of no consequences is that now everybody has to pay for it. Yeah, I said all those things to say that. Because it won't just be you. If I'm the suspect, they won't just want me. They're going to want my mother, my father, my brother, my sister, my roommate, right on? They're going to want to talk to anybody that I worked with all these, over all these years. All my so-called affiliates, anybody they can pull up contacts from emails to the phone, anything, right on? Chicks I've dated, online or whatever, all this kind of stuff. They're gonna go after all that, right? Before they, you see what I'm saying? Before they left, before they leave any stone, and if they were like, oh, they supported him, that's it. I'm cooked. You're cooked just like that. Your whole family's cooked. Your whole clan is cooked. This is what they're doing. And don't nobody see it because they don't understand that the consequence of no consequence is that they will lay down the hammer. Right. Didn't even need a hammer at first. They uh, needed their hands to solve this problem. But because it's gotten so out of hand, they now need a mechanism that will amplify the force of the blow, far greater than what they could deliver themselves. But it will be felt and it will be terrible. The dude's uncle, little Robbie Schmurda, right? Robert Crimo the third, right? But Robbie Schmurda, right? He out there shooting shit up. His uncle on TV looking confused and lost and dazed. Right. He's like, there's no signs of this. They didn't give this dude everything he probably really ever wanted. Right. They can't understand. They might have thought, hey man, we were kind of tough on them sometimes, but not that bad. You don't, you just, you never know. You just never know what a person's going through. And the fact that we all keep hearing the same thing. And I remember I did a video on this a long time ago where they talked about like the dude had no signs, right on. It was before Apex Predator, but Apex Predator pointed out the issues of these guys aren't having in there's no known, they're not making any kind of gestures before they do these things. And and what he did was so premeditated that the dude was dressed up as a female. Now we all know that's an abomination and a sin, but he went so out of his way to try to not get caught, right on, that he cannot say that it's not premeditated. All the stuff is premeditated. It's all first degree. All of it. Right. Now, do I think that a video of somebody doing something or depicting something is a telltale sign to what's to come? No, not exactly. But the fact that these guys, I mean, YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all these places, they never do their jobs. What's popping, family? What's good, bro? None of them do their jobs to regulate what's really good. So you got an individual who's saying stuff like what he's saying, and they don't corral every single profile and say, okay, we've got out of the so many users, we've got this many hundreds of thousands or this many tens of thousands who all have a similar rhetoric. Pull them all off to the side and then sift them down even further to those who were most capable. You have to do that. You have the metadata. They sell your metadata to all these different places anyway. So they know if you're shopping, if you're not shopping. They know all this stuff anyway. They might as well use it. Right. They're not using the information that they have because they're trying to claim that they're not being invasive, yet they'll send you a pop-up of some stuff that you were just talking to somebody about on the phone. Right. So they're not being willing enough to say, you know what, this is what we have to do. And they let individuals like this dude right here fall through the cracks. But once again, brother Jalen shot him 60 umpteen times. And you can say he shot at the police, this, that. I get it. I understand. I don't expect anyone to be shot at and not return fire. But in that very moment, his ability to return fire was no longer available. He was not armed. So it doesn't matter what they say. Right. Right. It the consequence of no consequence, like I just said, is we're all going to have to pay for it. Because once they figure out a way to make every shooting like an act of terrorism, unless it's clearly self-defense, right on. I mean, they could make it to where a basic domestic dispute between two neighbors could be seen as terroristic activity. We don't know where this kind of shit is going. We have no idea, and it's in dangerous territory. And them so-called hitting Roe v. Wade, they're not going to mess with the Second Amendment. But what they're going to do is make it so difficult for people to act out like that, that they're able to send the full effects of whatever forces onto individuals that are doing those types of things. I'm going to give y'all a prime example. A guy goes to a hookah lounge, shoots it up, right? Boom. Obviously this is way later now. They already have laws in the books to say that this sort of thing is an act of terrorism or something akin to it, right? And this is how we're going to respond. He then goes to one of his homeboys' houses, so-called the duck off spot, certified trap house and all that. Bam. What he doesn't know though is that, bro, they're about to send the feds after you. It's not just about to be city police officers or even state police officers. It's federal agents too. Their resources are almost unlimited when you talk about, the scope of what they're able to do. Right. So searching for just you, they find you and 8, 9, or 10 of your homeboys all hanged up, all hanging out, chilling. Your cronies, right? Your henchmen, your thugs, your flunkies, whatever you want to consider them to be. And they say, we're taking all of them down. And if we can prove that any one of you supported this man out, let alone right now because he's with you, but if we can prove that what you did supported this man, y'all going down with him. And God forbid that this dude try to put up a fight and get all y'all killed. Right. That's where we're headed. It doesn't look like that right now, but it looks like that to me. Because they've done nothing about this. No thing. There is no clear line of, if you do this sort of act, we're just going to take you out. But yet if you kill police officers to the full extent, everything that they got, right on, they will come after you. Shooting a police officer is one thing, killing them is a whole nother. And they're going to be upset that you shot them anyway, but they're really going to be upset that you killed one of theirs. There's no telling how all that stuff turns out. I told you that dude was looking like a raspberry. Can't think of the dude's name, Lawrence, something Lawrence or something like that. He got a funny ass last name. Right on. Older dude over there. Let some shots go. They said let off 60 or 70 of them. On the shots fired. That's how real it gets. That's how real it is. And everybody wants to act like this shit is, it's just going to get better. It can't get better. It's impossible. If their rules of engagement are, we allow everybody their day in court, even though we know that they don't deserve one, that's backwards. It's only a matter of time until people just I'll go get my own justice. Right. That's what they're forcing people to go after. That's 7 families, or that's 7 people who passed away. But that's 7 families, though. More than likely, that's 7 different families, but that could be, a combination of people's families. But that's 7 families. Those are 7 different people who all died or were murdered. Right. They probably want vengeance. Understandably so. Now they're asking for calm, and they're asking for this and this and this. You can't ask somebody who lost their loved one to not want to do harm to this guy's loved ones, even if they didn't do anything. The idea that I feel like you may have done something to harbor this. It's all I need. Right. To take action, to get with the business, it don't take much. So why does anybody think that people are going to continue to take all these pretty much like infractions against their persons laying down? How much longer until they're like, you know what? It's okay if I stand up for myself. It's all right. I have the first off, I have the right to do that, given to me by God, and it's my obligation and responsibility. Okay, it's my duty to do that. The consequence of no consequence is going to have massive repercussions in our lives soon to come. I don't feel good about it, and it took me a while to think of a. I was gonna do a White Heaven, Apex Predator 2, and a whole bunch of other names I had. I was gonna go all the way out of my way, but this is the con- yeah, the consequence of no consequence. That is exactly what we are witnessing. Do you really believe that that guy goes into that supermarket and shoots up that place full of brothers and sisters if he thinks that no matter what his race is, when the police get there, they're going to extinguish his ass? Once they figure out, once the police get the call for whatever, right on. If the gun's not already unloaded on the ground and you not in a position where you are not a threat, out of here, friend. Or they're going to do their best to get you out of there. If that was the case, these guys don't do that. Right. People are all like, oh, why did those sheriffs wait for homeboy down there in Texas then? Easy. It they didn't want to go in there and exchange and then a whole bunch of the bullets be their bullets that kill little children. Right. Right. So I'm not saying that they purposely waited, but it seems like a strategic move on their half. So that way, because guess how much money one of the parents would sue for, or parents would sue for, if the sheriff's department or the police department were responsible for the children's death directly because they shot them, trying to engage this guy. Then people be talking about, man, what kind of training are these guys getting? These guys can't tell a guy with a gun from one without. And people have never been in those kind of high intense stress situations ever in their life and couldn't even understand. Like your mortality, my mortality is on the line. This shit is not a movie. Word? It's not a movie. If you die at work, you died in real life. The real you died too. Okay? Can you dig that? If you die at work, the real you is out of here. So you don't got to worry about recouping and coming back after that. It's done. The consequence of no consequence is going to be something that most people don't even think is a major thing. They're like, this is nothing new. Okay, but yet why don't you realize what it is then? Is why is no one else speaking about it? Why haven't they told all the people that this is because there are no consequences? And it's not, white supremacy. Because there's brothers that have done crazy stuff that get walked in by the police who people thought that they should have got gunned up. Right. So you can't just say, it's just disproportionately we receive the end of the stick of hard justice. Disproportionately. I give you that. What I won't give you is that a lot of those brothers did not put themselves in those situations. Most of them put themselves in those situations. They can't have it both ways. Whatever the traffic violation was, whether it was expired tabs, whatever, bro should have pulled over. Wow, he would still be alive with some fines or whatever, if that. Maybe he gets off. Maybe the police just let him go. We'll never know because he didn't stop. Nobody wants to talk about that. But the consequence of no consequences has pushed people to do stuff like that. He wouldn't be the first guy to get out of his to shoot at the police officers, drive, crash his car, and then get arrested later. He would not be the first person. No, he wouldn't. Do I feel bad for the brother? Yes, I do. Shot 60 times. I just don't. I don't get it. Having said that, the man was in a situation where he was in control of that vehicle and he was in control of himself. And had he conducted himself differently and better, he may still very well be alive. We'll never know. We will never know. But the consequences of no consequences has gotten the best of a whole lot of people. Right. Whole lot of folks were able to go out last year and the year before that and so-called protest and tear shit up. Are y'all listening? Tear shit up. Right. These individuals, a lot of them, the consequence of no consequence has rubbed off on people the wrong way. Because everybody's not a victim of police brutality. Let me go ahead and say that. There are some brothers and some sisters in the hood that need to get their asses laid down with that lead. That's a fact. They are demons and devils running around those places, terrorizing folks. But it's almost never do they get what they deserve. Almost never. Can you dig that? Because you have people who have a mindset where it's like they're so deficient they can't understand. Can you dig it? They literally believe that their actions are justified just because they do them, and nobody does anything to them about it. So I must be okay. I must be in the good. Because nobody's tried to rip my whole fucking head off from my body. Right. But if somebody just did that to him out of nowhere while they pleaded in, oh God, oh Jesus, mama, somebody save me, then they would understand that if you do certain things, people can get at you right then, right there, in an instant, and there ain't nobody asking you about it. Ain't nobody asking you, oh, did you want to get punched in your face like that? Nobody's asking you. Word? They're just gonna clap you, and then they're gonna see what you're gonna do about it if you still standing. Nobody's asking. But in the case of the exactly, the consequence of no consequence, people have got it in their heads, they got it in their minds that if I just do whatever I want to do, you have to accept it because this culture has said that if you go against what I'm doing, that you're actually offending me. Right. You're offending me. Even though I'm driving my car fast, playing my music loud, smoking marijuana, even though it's illegal in my state type of shit. I'm not saying that's what bro was doing. I'm just giving y'all an example. Right. Right. You bothering me. I ain't messing with nobody, but bro, you're breaking the law. Noise ordinance says that after this time AM or before this time AM and after this time PM, music is not to be heard outside of your vehicle. Right. It says here that the speed limit is this, but this is how fast you're driving. And this substance is banned in your state. It's not legal. On top of all that, you've got a juvenile record that disallows you from owning firearms. I mean, yo, at some point, I understand when people say, hey, I'd rather get caught with than get caught without. I get all that. But you know what, though? You put yourself in a position where it's like, why should I have to feel bad for you when you don't want to follow any of the rules? None of them. Nothing applies to you. Nothing. Think about that. But if somebody crushed you with the elbow all in your eye, trying to take your shit, trying to turn it into jelly, right? Oh Jesus, oh God, oh mama, somebody help me. The grass is not much greener on the other side. I know people, I know somebody's told that to the folks, but it's not. Right. That's the unfortunate part of this. It's not greener on the other side. And the consequence of no consequence is that me, you, and the rest of everybody else has to pay for it now. That's their plan. They're going to make all of us pay for this. They're going to find a way to make us pay for this. Do y'all understand? It's not about tax dollars. It's not about that. It's about putting on record things that an officer wouldn't mind enforcing. So it's on the books. Right. If we can round up and arrest any and everybody and question any and everybody and interrogate any and everybody we think is responsible or involved with a certain level of activity, certain kind of activity, okay, okay. Talk, we are talking dangerous territory right now. And everybody over there two-stepping and tap dancing because of Roe v. Wade. Oh, they finally gonna have to hold these women accountable. When it's just as much as a man's fault for his lack of sexual discipline. Not to mention the fact that the young lady lacks sexual discipline. But now you're about to be in a whole other kind of situation. Roe v. Wade will be the least of your worries if they can come and snatch you out by your hair out of your bed in the middle of the night while you sleeping, pepper spraying your babies and holding vicious ass dogs in their faces, asking you what you know about Joe Snuffy. And you tell them, I don't even know shit about Joe Snuffy. I just met Joe Snuffy last week. And they, yeah, right. Quit lying, nigga. Right. Or you're going down with him. You literally don't know shit. But you don't, I guarantee you don't want to be in that kind of situation either. I can guarantee it. This is why right now they're acting like they got some class because this is a white dude's family. Let me remind y'all again, when Maurice Clemens engaged with those police officers, four officers at one time, all by himself, his family was charged. What's up, Brother Corey? His family was charged and was told pretty much like, y'all help this dude. After the fact, when he shot folks, y'all gave him refuge. Mind the fact that the guy just killed 4 individuals. So who knows where his mind is at and who knows what he's actually said to any of his family at this point. I could easily understand law enforcement's point of view that they help this man because this is their family and that they love him and they don't care what he's done. Okay. But there's been other people in the past to turn in their family members who are brothers and sisters, who are us. So it wouldn't be beyond me to believe that maybe somebody was terrified and just couldn't inform on the man. I mean, all these different things get absolutely no play. It's like it's not even possible. It's like that, no, that can't be the case. So we're in a position and we're in a predicament where if it were anybody else, they wouldn't treat it like that. You get what I mean? But they're going to treat this guy's situation with class. Why? Why? I have no idea. No, I have no idea. But what they're going to do in everybody else's situation after this, it's case by case basis, state by state, city by city, locality by locality, municipality by municipality. It's county by county. It's going to differ. You're going to have certain places that kind of understand, like, hey, we can't really prove that they did anything. We're not going to try to press that line on them. then you're going to have other situations where people feel like the act was so heinous, rounding up their entire family is the most logical thing to do. They're going to say it's for their family's safety we're doing this, blah, 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 blah. Man, there's so many different messed up things that are going to be seeded from this. And it's not going to happen today or tomorrow. But when they start to happen, I'll have already spoken on it. Now, I'm not gonna say I didn't see this coming. I didn't see this being one of their motives, the modus operandis. I really did not see that they wanted to make it to where they could pretty much claim that anybody, for any reason, one way, shape, or form or another, they could claim that somebody's involved in terrorism. So let's say one of y'all go out and go do some crazy shit, right? And I've spoke with you through emails or on the phone or whatever, right? Or met you face to face. They're gonna want to know what I know or what I don't know. Just like that. This is where this kind of shit is going. And I'm like, bro, these are just people who share a similar belief. We all love the most high God first and foremost. But we also know that we live in the physical world and things can happen to us in our form that we live in. So we have to be sensible and we have to be vigilant. Not vigilantes, but vigilant. And you couldn't talk me out of that then. Because if you're already in trouble, you telling them, oh, he's got nothing to do with this, that's not gonna do a damn thing for you, or for me, or for anybody else. Uh I I think it's called The Unthinkable. It's a movie with Samuel Jackson. And he's like a dude that breaks terrorists. He like does like torture and stuff, right? And they're trying to get this guy to talk, and they're doing all this. I mean, they're doing some pretty bad stuff to him. And then finally, Samuel Jackson's like, I have to do the unthinkable, right? And the unthinkable is to bring this dude's children in and act like he's about to torture his children. Then the dude told him everything, right? He just spilled the beans. He didn't tell him every little thing, but he was willing to spill the beans then. And it was like, see, I mean, this is what the U.S. government will really do. So y'all don't know what somebody's up to. And y'all don't know what the US government will claim that they're up to. Dude goes somewhere talking about he wants to do this, he wants to do this, he wants to do this, and then he acts on half of that. They can say, well, where are these weapons or where are these weapons at? And they say, I don't have any. And they say, we don't believe you. Right. Yeah, man, we're headed for some dark, dangerous times. And it's dangerous right now, and it's dark right. I'm scared. Just a little bit. I know I shouldn't be scared about none of that stuff, but that shit got me kind of just a little bit of paranoid, man. Cause that's not good. I could believe that. I could believe that. But fictional movies are also just that, fiction, for that reason. Because in a lot of fictional movies, things that will never happen in real life happen in those movies. For example, every main character of a movie you watch is exceptional in some way, shape, or form. The only time the main character is not exceptional is that it's explained that they're not exceptional. Other than that, every main character in every movie is always exceptional. Right. That's the rule of cinema and theatrics, brother. Just in case you didn't know that. Filmography and all that stuff. That's the basic rule. Is that your character normally has to be the exception of the exception. You know, like they're always lucky. You know what I mean? Like there's something about the character They're quick-witted, and they have people who owe them 100 favors each, right? There's always something about their character that is a grab. Whereas in real life, this individual, Robbie Schmurda, right, Cream of the Third, this individual grew up in a loving home where, from what I understand, his father did okay for himself. You know what I mean? Maybe he's not balling out of control, but if he was a nig, he would be balling out of control. So let's just say like that. He got money. His father has money. The uncle has money. He comes from a family is a well respected. They're like a high up family. So out here in Washington, right? There's the LeMays where I live on this side of Washington. LeMay owns a bunch of different stuff, but in particularly the trash facilities and things like that, right? And the LeMay Car Museum is the largest car museum and on the whole earth, if I'm not mistaken. And the LeMay's children or grandchildren, I know a lot of people who grew up with them, they were shitty. They were, and a whole lot of them are drug addicts right now, pieces of garbage. So I'm not surprised. I'll say it like that. That's what I meant to say. I'm not surprised that this individual is like that because I've heard of people who come from affluent families and the offspring or the seed, maybe one or two generations out, are just not good people and they don't understand business. So when you're in that kind of a situation as the mother or the father or whomever, primary care provider or a caretaker or something like that, it's always rough because you're probably really not actually like that while this individual really is messed up like that. And you can't know why. You'll never know why. I watched a movie. I can't think of the name of the movie. It's about a warrior, Turkic warrior. At the end of the movie, he's inside of this church, and this priest takes this oil and this water, and he pours the oil into the water, and the priest is explaining to him, you know, that no matter what somebody's done, right, there's always a way to make it right, so to speak. And he sets the oil on fire and the water, and it burns all the way off. And then he has the guy to drink it, and he's like, "How did it taste?" He was like, it tasted funny but clean, right? And so it's one of those things where he could never understand, you know what I mean? That his sins, what he's done can't be, there's no fix to it. There's no there's no way of undoing what he did. And this is what these young guys don't get is like your families work so hard for a reputation, for their honor, and to go out like he deserves to die based on the Bible's understanding, right on, you know, if a man brings shame and dishonor to his mother and father, he's supposed to be put to death. He's brought great shame to his family. His family should have once again, in these kind of situations, if the family's like, we want to come there and we want to stone him to death, or we want to, rifle and squat his ass, we want to do whatever, but we want to take his life right now. We don't want to wait for y'all to do nothing. We're his family. He belongs to us. Now give him up before we take him, and then still do what we're planning to do anyway. You ain't got no kind of justice like that. And his family probably doesn't want him to die. That's sad. See, you see how sad that is? His family probably doesn't even want him to die. I just see this kind of stuff and it's it's coming to a head, y'all. Before I get ready to roll up out of here in the next little bit of, whatever however many moments, this is coming to an absolute heads. and people want to try to avoid it the best they can, and I get it, but it's a dangerous thing to do. It's a very dangerous thing to do, to allow for your feelings to become. You can't be so lost that you don't see what's going on, is what I'm trying to say. Like your mortgage and your insurance and trying to keep up with all the hubbub around you, that can't be so important that you don't take the time to acknowledge that there's something that's very, very, I mean very wrong. And they keep trying to say, well, it's always been. No, it has not. The earth has not always been on the brink of destruction because people are trying to do it. You know what I'm saying? Of course, brother. Of course, brother. Of course. But he's dishonored both of his parents. Once again, how could somebody caught in this kind of situation not dishonor their parents? Now, nobody had a problem with Brother Jalen Walker shooting at the police. I do. I have a major problem with that. When Kenneth Walker got Breonna Taylor killed, got her murdered, what was my issue with Kenneth Walker shooting his pistol? Was that he only fired one shot, and that he should have let the entire magazine go. Now, my thing is what Brother Jalen Walker is that if he, let's imagine that the weapon only did. Some people are saying he fired one shot. People are saying he fired 21 shots. I don't know. I'm gonna say like this. Imagine that the weapon's empty that they found inside of that vehicle. That means he let every round go. I'm sorry. Y'all, just in case you didn't understand, when he was shooting at them, he shot at them with lethal intent, whether he thought he was shooting with lethal intent or not. Right. Lesson for today. The loser takes the same risk as the winner, and the winner takes the same risk as the loser. Both ought be commended for their attempt. One should be consoled in their loss, and the other one should be commended in their victory. That is the truth. But we don't see it like that. They tell losers to kick rocks, not realizing that the loser, like I said, took the same exact risk as the winner did. Most people don't understand what I'm trying to say right now. You are dealing with people who will put you in a position where you might be the perpetual loser if they have a chance. Only difference is that you didn't you didn't take the same risk that the winners took. They involved you. But in real life, in the actual grand scheme of competition, team versus team or person versus person, they have to take the same risk inherently in order to deliver any sort of result. So that being said, a man or a woman who places us in this kind of position where we shouldn't, where if I'm like, I shouldn't be in this position, if you're like, man, you shouldn't be in this position, we all agree this is not how it should be, something's wrong. And if you're around somebody who's willing to pull you down, you're probably going to go down with them. By you being around them, you took the loser's chance. You took the loser's risk. That's right. That's exactly what I'm trying to say right now. But do you want to be in a position where you didn't lay it all on the line and you're being treated as if you did? Right. Because this is what they're doing. They're creating that sort of dynamic for us, where we'll be treated as if we laid it all on the line, as if we brought every, as if we brought our greatest weapons to bear. We're in trouble. We are in trouble, my people, and not good trouble. We are in the bad kind of trouble. We've been in trouble, but it's just got worse because, like I said, it's just a matter of the flick of the wrist, and all these laws change. Everything changes, and guess what happens then if it all changes? All that you've ever fought for, all that you've ever known, all that you care about and believe, they're gonna try to rip it right from you. It takes one dummy to go out and do some stuff in the name of the Most High God, and they will make it hard for all of us who believe in the Most High God to breathe. Right. Bad enough they don't want to hold white Christians accountable for the Crusades, but here we are now. They won't have to be held accountable because we're about to be held accountable all over again for things that we didn't even do, for things we didn't even do. We're in trouble. We are in trouble. And what's the saddest part about this is that they watched these bastards last year storm the Capitol, fail coup d'etat, and none of them have really been charged with anything truly terroristic. Even though they brought guns, they were ready to set the whole shit off. And now here we are, a year and a half later. And guess what? That's right. Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. No, not a thing. Right. Only now we're going to be able to be hit with the book. All right. All those little dudes in Chicago and Philadelphia. All my young brothers out there in Milwaukee. All my young brothers out there in Jersey, New York. All my brothers down there in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee. All my young brothers down there in Texas and Oklahoma. You understand? All my brothers down there in Missouri. All right? All my brothers and sisters. Arizona, California, okay? Everywhere. Kansas, all the states. Y'all better pay attention because the white gloves, if they were on, the proverbial white gloves, if they were truly ever on, they just they just slowly slid their whole hands out. Right on? I'm telling you, it is about to get ugly. And it won't happen overnight, but they can, once again, if they can charge multiple people with the crime that they can't even prove that you committed, and now you're under the gun. There's gonna be people who just sell out people like, yeah they said this, yeah they said that. They're gonna straight lie on people, trying to get themselves out of something, not realizing that you just incriminated yourself. So you're saying that they said this and you didn't report them before. Now you're cooked too. Right. All this shit is meant to, so that way they can lock up as many of us at once as possible. Right. It's about to get dangerous. It's about to get real ugly and real dangerous. And I just don't know when they're gonna jump this shit off. I mean, it seems like this year. Let me say this and then I gotta roll on out. We end on this note. I'm gonna talk about my brother, the hitmaker, the OG. R. Kelly. And he very well may spend the rest of his life, his natural born life, behind bars. Very well may die in prison. This is a possibility. I pray that he doesn't appeal, but he is a consequence of the no consequence. See, if young ladies had came forward 30 years ago when people weren't trying to hear this kind of shit, it would have changed the outlook and the landscape for a lot of these young artists. And from the likes of Mystical, right? All the way to R. Kelly, right? You wouldn't have had these dudes get caught up in these really precarious situations because they would have been afraid of what would happen to them. But R. Kelly wasn't afraid because nothing nothing of this magnitude had ever bared itself before. But they federal charges they got him with. Federal. This is this is the man who made Happy People. Right on. This is the man who made Chocolate Factory, World's Greatest, Bad Man, Half on a Baby. All right? Stop it. I'm saying, if they got rid of this brother, tostada style, with cream cheese and onions on, I mean, with a sour cream and onions dolloped on his ass, I'm telling y'all, it's nothing good coming for the rest of black people. Nothing. No, no, no. I want y'all to really think about what I'm saying. They've been going after the most elite of your people, of our people, for the longest. For those of you who don't think R. Kelly's elite, name in your mind, don't type it in, name in your mind 3 stars from his generation that are bigger than him, that are as big or bigger than him from his generation. So they have to have been born in the 60s. You can't use Prince and you can't use Michael Jackson. Take those two off the list right now. Name 2 people who are bigger than R. Kelly. Right. And that's the issue you find yourself in. Right. They've got he's out of there. It doesn't even matter if he were to appeal and to win. His reputation is forever tarnished. Forever. It's done for him. And that's what they're trying to do to us. Where no matter what, even if we prove our innocence, our reputations will be forever tarnished because we'll be tied to somebody or something of a terroristic nature. And that sort of accusation and stigma never leaves. It never leaves. And I'm just telling y'all my personal onset, my personal opinion, how I see the situation. Not how somebody else sees it or what I got from somebody else. Overall, I'm just telling y'all what my two eyes see. Now, obviously, these things come from conversations that I have with people, or yeah, conversations, I guess you could say, whether they're through via email or phone or face to face. Still, I converse to come to these conclusions, and it's a basic conclusion that we are in deep dung. We all the way up to our eyes, y'all. It's not looking good because guess what? If they'll change a law about how a group of an entire group of individuals can treat their bodies, even though for the last 50 years they've been told that they could do whatever they want to their bodies with their bodies. If they're ready to hold them accountable, even though they should have been being held accountable, imagine what they're going to really try to do to men. Imagine what they're going to do to families of people who hold similar sentiments, right? There's a lot of us who do not like the police. There's a bunch of us. If the first thing somebody says is if the first thing somebody says is I don't like the police when they're being interviewed by the police, That's a red flag to the police. And especially if you're talking about somebody that you know or love has done something that they have no business doing, or they're being accused of it. Think about this. You could get wrapped up in it just because of an accusation of an accusation. This shit is dangerous. And nobody's talking about it because they don't understand, because they don't even see the threat in it. Brothers, brothers and sisters, who told y'all about the year of the vigilante before I did? Who said that this year would be the year of the vigilante? Me. That's right. I did that back in November. And now here we are in July. I couldn't, I mean, this is it. And anybody who wants to say this is not the year of the vigilante, what is it then? It's the year of something. Because it is crazy right now. I mean, when I was a little boy, there might have been some years in the early 90s, right? That were like, I guess that seemed as crazy as this, but for way totally different reasons, y'all. It was way different. Now here we are, and literally, I'm gonna say it like this. My prediction for this year is kind of like when, I'm not sure if you guys knew this. That movie Top Dog was released the same year as the Oklahoma City bombing. And the reason why they didn't release it at its original release date is because it was right around the time when Oklahoma City bombing had took place. They didn't change anything in the movie. The the actual storyline and premise of Timothy McVeigh and the storyline in the movie Top Dog were like almost the same. It was crazy. Y'all got to go back and watch it. There's some, even Chuck Norris showed his little partially bigot side in that movie, saying some crooked shit to the sister. But but and it's a subtle little thing about some dog shit, right on, about being able to understand the dog. Anyway, I didn't like it. Right on. I thought I felt that was a real low blow. I felt like whoever wrote that into the script that was a hater. Neither here nor there though. That movie has a point like that where it's kind of like what how I spoke about this stuff happening. And I'm talking like I'm so surprised because some of these dudes have literally done things that I talked about in that video. And all people got to do is just go back and listen to it. All that's all they got to do. I got to start leaving the links for some of the. I think I'm gonna have to start leaving that link. I'm gonna have to go and put that link in a bunch of the videos that I've made this year and that I'm gonna be making, because I don't know if people understand that I was trying to warn folks about this kind of crazy shit happening. You know, folks just losing their minds and just going crazy. And this guy has put his parents, his family, in a crazy situation where this kind of pressure could force one of them to commit suicide. Not that I want his parents to kill themselves. I'd rather him be killed, but this kind of pressure could make one of his parents or both of his parents or somebody in his family to kill themselves. This is the kind of shit that makes people do that. Trust me, I know. This is dangerous, y'all. This shit is dangerous. Could you imagine being a felon and getting accused of some terroristic activity because somebody that you know that you used to affiliate with back in the past did some dumb shit? They're going to be able to literally go back to your relationships however long. If it's deemed terrorism, every no stone shall be left unturned until we get to a satisfactory ending. And they will implicate and they will allege and suspect You, me, and the next man and the next woman of the unthinkable. I always ask the Most High God that I'm not delivered up into the hands, clutches, nor devices of mine enemies, their allies, their affiliates, or their gods, the wickedly evil, that I am not shown their convictions of justice, judgment, mercy, their punitive functions of justice, judgment, mercy, neither their cohesive efforts of unrighteousness, and that in the day in which I am made into a testimony against the Gentile that rages, and the people that imagine the vain things that are evil against thee, Father God, that they be made to know that you are the Most High God, the creator of heaven and earth. So I know that our day is coming to be delivered up. But when we are delivered up, I pray that we're the testimony against, that's right, against them. That's right, against the evil of our people and the Gentiles and all who are between them. That's what we're that's it for us. I, it just seems like there's going to be somebody who is a so-called Israelite who's going to do something that is unthinkable, and it's going to put an uncomfortable light on many of us. And it's not going to be pretty. This is why I always say, don't call yourself no Muslims. And for brothers and sisters who are supposed to be calling themselves Hebrews, who are like, oh, the Muslims, that's our that is our true faith, and they're us. No, we're not. That wasn't created until like 600, common era. Those people weren't around during the time when the folks were exiled from their own land. Those folks weren't around when your people first sinned against the Most High God and turned their back on him and went to the left and went to the right and went a whoring after other gods. They weren't around then. These are individuals who literally can barely prove their their genetic footprint and their actual biological blueprint on the earth for barely 2,000 years, if that. If that. And that does matter. We are in a position where any one of these guys does something stupid, they will put us all in the same category. And then guess what? Now we're fighting to prove that we're not who these individuals are. We're at a very dangerous junction. It's not going to get any safer from here. I didn't expect it to get safer. I didn't expect it to be totally safe, I guess. But I also didn't expect it to be this. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the closer we get to the end, the more obvious it becomes, to me at least. And we're in trouble. Our only hope is the Most High God. Like these guys who believe in ancestor worship, I keep asking y'all, if y'all truly believe in anything greater than yourself, who is your very first ancestor? It's not Adam. No, it would be the Most High God because he's your creator. He's where you come from. Right. And he lives. All your other ancestors are dead. The only ancestor worship you should be worried about is the Most High God worship. Before I get up out of here, I got to just say this again. The loser takes the same risk as the winner. The exact same dangers and perils every loser has taken who has actually valiantly contended for whatever position or for whatever status of victory that there is. Honorably as well. They took the same exact risk and the same exact chance as everyone else. And now they're going to take that out of our hands. And they're going to tell us that, no, even though we didn't do this, we're going to get the same exact as if we did. The only thing is that there are no victors when you get accused of something that heinous. There is no victory, so we can only be a loser. And we're a loser by proxy because just because we know this person, just because we've been around this person before. Do y'all hear how heinous that is? They're talking about going back and interviewing this dude's elementary teachers and all kinds of shit. Right. Pretty much everybody who fucking knew the guy is going to get interviewed. You have to be careful what you say. You can't. You see what I'm saying? Like this shit is dangerous. Look, I got to get out of here because the more I think about it, the more dangerous it seems to me, and I'm not going to get my energy all worked up over that. I promise I'm not. I'm just upset and aggravated because it wasn't one of us that burnt who burnt us up, who literally burnt us. This dude just fucked us, and he doesn't even realize that he fucked black people over. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he did that on purpose. But this guy does not understand, bro. You just fucked black people all the way over. The same way that they practice partiality towards certain groups is going to be the same thing that they do going forward. And the same way that they're totally unforgiving and relentless when it comes to us will be the same way that they will be going forward. Nothing will be any different. Anyway, my brothers and my sisters, man, I love y'all with all my heart and all my soul. I really do. I just uh I just don't know what else to do about the situation other than to ask for you to be as vigilant as you've ever been, to be as steadfast and as alert as you have ever been. Be cautious, but don't seem paranoid if you can help it. But you need to be overtly cautious. Nowhere is too safe. And uh in the rules of counterterrorism, of expert security people, it has not happened until it happens. May tomorrow be better than today, and may next week be better than the last. I salute you, and I will be back soon.